Yeah. Hello, everyone. We're going to give it about 30 seconds for more people to join before we start. Okay, I think we're good, actually. So I am Meg Laporte, everybody. I'm with Team Good People, and we are here today for the October Power Talk, which we have titled Digital Connectedness, Technology as a Cornerstone for Growth. And we have with us today Kyle Robinson, who is a partner with Wellzesta, and Dan Mortensen. Wave your hand, Dan, if you can, Mennonite Home Communities. Before I give the mic to Kane, our founder, Good People founder and CEO, I am going to just ask folks if you have noise in the background, if you could just mute yourselves, but we will have this interactive. And once Kyle and Dan are finished with their presentation. So take it away, Kane.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Power Talks, where good people connect. Today is October 25th. I'm just going to call this the 44th episode of Power Talks. I don't know what the actual number is, but it doesn't matter because they're all very valuable and important and informative. So we just finished our last retreat 4 or 5 weeks ago in Ouray, Colorado, and we had a wonderful time connecting, bonding, getting to know each other. And I had the pleasure and honor of getting to know Dr. John Robinson, who is one of the founders of Wellzesta, and amazing human being, great guy to get to know. And not only is he smart enough to develop something like this, the guy is actually in the Hall of Fame of the John Hopkins track and field program. That just blows me away. Dr. John, amazing guy. But we have the honor and the pleasure of having Mrs. Kyle Robinson, Dr. John's lovely wife, joining us today. And if I will pass it off to Kyle from Wellzesta. Thank you, Kyle.
All right. Kane and Meg, thank you both. And Dan and I are certainly excited to connect with you guys today. We'll make it interactive and fun. We do have some slides, but feel free to have conversation throughout this. And then I think at the end, we'll have questions. So today's experience, we're going to talk a little bit about digital connectivity. What does that mean? How does data tell a story? And also a little bit about how we've partnered with Mennonite Home Communities with their Woodcrest Villa residents. And so Dan's going to speak a little bit to that and how they are thinking about things. And then also touch on wellness and the wellness economy, and maybe hopefully have a couple of laughs as well. We can certainly answer questions or have follow-up too, but we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen. And again, if you have any questions throughout or comments, just say, hey, Kyle, or hey, Dan. All right. Let me know when you can see I have a keynote here, when you can see the actual keynote. And Meg, if you'll just let me know.
Well, we saw it. I think it just needs to come up. There we go. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right. And you can see the whole screen. You can't see us, right?
Correct.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, digital connectedness, we talked about it as really how you use technology as a cornerstone for growth. So have the privilege to talk with Dan, who is the VP of Operations at Mennonite Home Communities in Pennsylvania. They are one of our fantastic client partners, and he'll talk a little bit more about his role and their organization. And I'm Kyle Robinson. I'm the co-founder and partner of Wellzesta. And just a little bit, we'll talk a little bit about what that means, but always I like to start with something funny. So, hey Siri, why do my relationships not work out? And what does she say? This is Alexa. So maybe that's why things don't work out, get the wrong name. But that's, technology. And we do have that in our house as well. Sometimes I say, hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey Google.
Hey,
Agenda.
Kyle.
Yes.
Hey, Kyle, my screen is black. I don't know if anybody else's is.
Is
it? It keeps popping in and out. Is that what everybody else is experiencing?
Same thing, Dan. That's what I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see it now. Yeah, I was starting to see that. I could see it now, though.
All right, how about this? Let me do this. It won't be quite as fantastic, but I will move this. I'll take this off. And I know you might be able to see the slides coming up, but you okay with that? Then you can definitely see it. You can see this group right here.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Why don't we do that? Can you see the Siri joke? All right. So just a brief introduction really to each of the organizations, and then talk about digital transformation and connection and why does it matter? And then how do you use that data for decision-making and a growth pathway and personalization, which is something that's really close to what we do, and how does that play a role in our well-being, both professionally and personally? And then a little bit on the wellness economy, just kind of interesting and how that correlates into the work that we are all doing in the senior living field or industry. But at Wellzesta, we really, we know that senior living organizations have complex communication needs. So we created a platform that really reaches and supports residents and staff and also families while supporting and guiding their health and well-being, which results in those communities being connected and being poised for growth, which is an important part about what we want to help do. I've been in senior living for the majority of my career, so the last 25 plus years. We started Wellzesta in 2014. It's engagement software. We have different platforms in elder care. Our founders have background in medicine and healthcare, and of course, software and health and wellness. My background's in gerontology. We're based in North Carolina, but we work with communities all across the country, primarily senior living, but also home care as well. And then kind of where we fit into the ecosystem. So of course we are, some people will call these portals, we call them a platform. So it's really an integral part of what you have at your organization. Over here, you'll have your EHR, maybe over here in marketing and sales, you're using your CRM. We are this operating system that is within what you use with your residents on a daily basis, and it can grow with you. So the great thing about it is it's highly scalable. It also has a lot of data analytics in it, and of course is working on your daily communication piece. We have the ability to grow. You can grow with us. So this is called, we call it Strong Band, but it's basically what is it all from a technology standpoint rely on, and we are what they call a progressive web app. So imagine residents can see it on iPhone, Android phone, an inexpensive tablet, desktop, laptop, digital signage, TV, all different ways to see that. We're HIPAA compliant, so your information's secure. We are on a GraphQL API. It's basically extensible and interoperable, which is nice. We have global search functionality, so you can work at a single site, which is wonderful, or you could work at a super large enterprise site and go all the way down and have scale there. So you can scale that and have redundancy built in. We have voice built in to the platform using things like ChatGPT. And of course, we integrate with other platforms. So your dining or anything else that you might use as well. And Dan, I'll let you talk. I'll flip through some of these, but tell us a little bit about Mennonite Homes so they have context.
Thanks, Kyle. Mennonite Home started in 1903. We're located in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a hub for senior living in the United States. And our nursing home started in 1903, but then our independent living campus started in the early 90s. I think it was like 1993. We call that Woodcrest Villa. Like many of your organizations, we've been growing our IL while we've been shrinking our skilled nursing and personal care. Right now, we're up to just about 750 IL residents and about 150 skilled nursing personal care residents. According to Ziegler, we're the 9th largest single site CCRC in the country. So I've been here about 6.5 years, and prior to that, I had a 30+ year career in higher education.
All right. And do you want to talk any about strategic growth initiatives, or we'll kind of walk through that?
Yeah, I can. This picture actually is a good segue introducing how Kyle and I really met. Back in 2015, Woodcrest Villa started to think about what it was hearing in terms of the baby boomers and their interest in wellness. And they took that pretty seriously. And so they built what we call the Viva Center, which is everything that you see on this slide, from the left red brick all the way past the cars to where that illuminated building on the right, that's our swimming pool. And that's predominantly our wellness area. It does have some other functions in it, but the organization went in really strongly. At the time, it was a $15 million project. And they did that because they wanted to be able to serve the next generation of residents, which we were learning would have a higher interest in wellness than maybe previous generations had. So I think that's a good thing to think about in terms of how seriously our organization is taking this conversation around wellness, and why Wellzesta became such a important partner for us. This building is called Falcon Point. We are going to start construction on this building next month. It's a 35-unit apartment building. We've been growing. In the last 6 years, Woodcrest has added 66 cottages, and we've added 39 apartments. Right now, we have 166 total villas and 369 apartments on our campus. This is the inside of the Viva Center. It's a really important building on our campus, and it's really the hub which serves all 750 of our residents.
And there's the inside of it. Yeah.
There's Kyle presenting to our residents. She came and talked to them about Wellzesta right when we were launching.
They look very attentive. It's just great.
They were spellbound.
Yeah. And it's a gorgeous building, but what I love the most about it is it's this hub for social wellness, intellectual wellness, and just that people come together, and it just has, it's beautifully created from an architectural and interior design perspective, but what it does is it's a place for people to truly live. So that Viva piece of it. But let's talk a little bit about digital connectivity. So, and a lot of these pictures in here are real. Wellzesta, people always ask, where's that word come from? It's wellness and zest for life. So the girls all wear cute earrings, lemon earrings when they do onboardings. And so these are, one of these is one of our trainers, as well as one of the ladies that works in, I think, life enrichment as well at Woodcrest Villa. But really, it's a catalyst for growth and inclusion and prosperity. So how can we do this? A lot of times people will talk about the digital divide and how people outside, especially aging people that don't live in our communities, don't have access to the things that they need. But in most cases in our communities, they do. If they don't, we can give you lots of numbers of people to call to have that available for you. But it's really also a mindset that can turbocharge, if you will, your financial. So really, people always want to know, what's the ROI on wellness? What's the ROI on having this digital connectivity? And you really can sit down and have some of that ROI, and we track a lot of that. And then these connected services, how can you drive value across the entire ecosystem, meaning the entire industry, if you will, the entire, maybe if you're in a city or state that has many of these, or your own campus or organization as well. Or for businesses who are on, of course, the same things for that. There are pluses and minuses to digital connectedness, as you well know. A lot of this after the pandemic became very evident. It was great for social connectivity when people weren't able to get out as much. It allows you to basically have geographic freedom. I mean, people go and are, digital nomads and travel all over the country and do work and learn things. It's low cost. Think about how we used to do even business development or trainings or anything like that. It was more expensive and took a lot more time. And then that versatility and flexibility. I mean, if you want to learn from somebody in, another country, you easily can do that and connect and have high communication speeds to do that. So your access to information is vast. Now, some disadvantages, it's not all glory. So we do have to be careful with digital data security, of course. There are content inaccuracies out there. So not everything on the web is true. So we know that. So we have to be careful about what sources we're leveraging and working with as a whole. And then some people talk about the shrinking job opportunities. We are firm believers in high tech, high touch. It can never replace the human connection, but what it can do is it can enhance the ability for staff, for example, to be able to spend time doing what they really love to do and also be proactive rather than reactive. Sometimes it does cause work overload if you were one of those that stays on too often. So just to be cognizant of that and have self-care around it. I'm going to skip that piece. What's interesting to me is prior to starting Wellzesta, I worked for one of the big 4 accounting firms, not this one in particular, but what's interesting is all these massive organizations who are putting out, thought provoking culture and different reports, they are all talking about this as well. This is a report from Deloitte talking about, how do you have this balancing act of a happy digital life and staying connected. And so it goes into some mobile trends. If you want, we'll give you this so you have it, but you can download great reports. This is one from McKinsey. They have an entire group that just studies this. So their digital strategy section, and they just come up with lots of different things for businesses, for nonprofits, for organizations, for individuals. And they have great reads on how this is transforming how we think. And I know this is a lot of words on the screen, but really showing Leading Age is doing this. So as an entity, we are part of their social connectedness and engagement technologies. And so they are saying, organizations that have these kind of platforms can increase social networks, reduce isolation and loneliness. So they've done some measurements on this. And of course, we have to, even down to reducing costs of healthcare. So just, as we move in, so how can we connect these digital journeys to health and well-being, both professionally and personally? And that always takes me back to, what about wellness? What does it mean to you? And if anybody wants to speak out, go ahead. Does anybody have something that just wellness means, when they think of it, you think of blank? I know you're probably a talkative crowd, but go ahead.
I would say not hurting.
Not hurting. Yeah.
Not hurting.
Especially as we age, right? All right. So a lot of people think about different things of wellness. I always, I speak to residents a lot and they like a lot of humor. This was one that makes me laugh. I named my dog 5 miles so I can tell people I walked 5 miles every day. So if any of you have a new pet and you want to do that, go for it. But really, the first true definition of wellness was in 1959. It's this integrated functionality where you're trying to reach towards your maximum potential, which really is different than how we think about health. In health, you're looking at your limitations. And in wellness, what you're always looking at is what's possible. And so the thought process is very different. It's about the engagement and the exposure and where you can go with it versus how we sort of think about health historically. Jan Montague has done a lot of great work in this field, and she talks about personal wellness being, having self-efficacy, your own choices, your own responsibility, having a self-directed approach. And then this whole person wellness, that it is a lifelong journey. It's not solved overnight, and we change and need different things as we are in different parts of our career or our age or what we might be working on. But it's personalization is something that's super important to us. In this industry, we used to talk about location, location, location. Today, I say personalization, personalization, personalization. And if we can provide information very quickly for the staff to be able to see and the leaders at these organizations to show personalization, that makes it more attractive to people as they're coming into our communities. And really focusing on that wholeness and self-efficacy. We are we really started out as we created the platform to, of course, promote staff and help them with their daily operational tasks and to help save them time, make them more effective and efficient. But it was this focus on how can we really lift the resident up to a whole new level. Just some statistics for you. We work with senior living organizations across the country. The platform that they have at the Mennonite homes is Wellzesta Life, which is average age is 84 across the United States. I think you're a little bit younger, around 80, 81. And they're using it, super high engagement in the 70s. I think you guys are in the 80s, 80% engagement for the week. This is not anything new to you, but we look at these 8 dimensions of wellness. One of the things that's been important to us to help organizations is to have a wellness taxonomy. We have that built into the platform. So it tells, hey, if I give feedback about what's positive for me, if it's physical, I know on the back end, was it stretching? Was it balance class? Was it yoga? Was it cardio? So you find out a little bit more about that. So the resident is looking at this, again, taking actions throughout the platform. So they are telling their staff and teams what they want. For example, if you want to talk a little bit about, Dan, this is how they give feedback to you and maybe how you used to do feedback, and then how this is that star rating if they go to a particular class.
Yeah, this has become quite competitive. We've only been on Wellzesta about 3 months now, and we had a prior vendor partner, and we just weren't getting the uptake with our residents that we wanted. So we started looking around and decided on Wellzesta. There's more to the story there, but the bottom line is, as Kyle just mentioned, we have about 80% of our residents are now actively using the platform. Where before, I think that probably would have been just a handful, literally. Maybe a dozen people were using the platform. And so our uptake with Wellzesta has been much, much better. And residents are now competing for these points. You can assign points to various activities, wellness activities, educational experiences, trips, etc. And at the end of every month, we publish the winners, the top 10, the people who've gotten the most points. And there's a lot of competition now. Now, some residents kind of don't like to compete, but those who do really, really are engaged in making sure that they're in that top 10. So it's been a real boon to our attendance at activities, but more importantly, it's fueling resident engagement in a way that has been really powerful, even though we've only been using it for about 3 months.
Yeah, thank you. And then one thing I just wanted this group to look at is what we are always asking the question to understand how a particular article or class or video is impacting that individual's health and well-being. So we do a simple 5-star question about that, because what is helping me with my health and wellness might be very different than what's helping Dan, for example. We also look at things like, social wellness. How do you correlate that? Can you measure it? Yes, you can. We also help people with a calendar. We used to do that financial calendar. Do you have enough to move into our communities? But here it's a different type of question. Do you need to move into our communities because of a socialization piece? Of course, making it really easy for them to find friends with one click, find interest groups, type in everybody that likes pickleball, and there you have your friend group, or you can join that particular group. Family is something that we have added on over the last couple of years, and that's been super important. And that helps them stay in the know, cuts down on phone calls, and that has been very helpful for the family members as well. Video across the board, we all absorb things. We have much lower attention spans than we used to, unfortunately, but video is something that continues to really dominate. So we have our own videos. Also, we work with single sites. We also work with large enterprise clients that can live stream across to everybody. So think about the cost savings there. Maybe you have a speaker who costs, I don't know, $5,000, and one community couldn't do that. But if you have 60 communities, you can spread that out, and you can have these super high-end speakers, and they can see it through the platform and also get feedback about it. So that's, helpful in itself as well. And that's part of that digital intimacy, if you will. We have on-demand wellness, like many, and we use artificial intelligence to personalize that. People find out what they like, what they can discover, and then they can also, if clients want, can get more from our partners on this as well. If you want to talk, one of the things at the very beginning of our onboarding, we asked the question about what are your main goals? What do you want to achieve with this? And then we take those goals, and then every time we have, either a problem or something great, we go back to what's the why. And Dan, these were your whys.
Yeah, these are so helpful to remember too, to go back and make sure that we're making progress on each of these. But one of the most powerful things that we want to do at Woodcrest Villa is meet residents' wellness aspirations. All of you probably struggle with the same thing we do, which is that some people think of our communities as just a place they go to kind of park until they're ready to die. And that's such the opposite of what our communities are and what they offer. And so we wanted to make sure that when residents come to Woodcrest, they have a conversation with us. What is it that they want to accomplish in all 8 of those wellness dimensions that Kyle showed you earlier? What do they want to accomplish intellectually, spiritually, physically, in all of those areas? And then Wellzesta does such a good job of giving them ways that they can track how well they're doing on each of those dimensions, because we want them to thrive. We want them to grow. We want them to have the very best life they possibly can. And when we saw the wellness piece integrated so seamlessly into the Wellzesta product, we thought that's the only resident platform that we can go with, because it was so perfect in helping us implement what we saw as the next generation's #1 priority, which was how can I flourish at this stage in my life? And Wellzesta is just such a good platform to help engage residents on those questions. The other goals that we had, we do want to go paperless. That's a tough road for many organizations working with this age population. But we're finding that we've gotten further than we thought we could, partly with Wellzesta's help and partly just doing it because it was time. There was a few things that we still publish every month, but by and large, since October 1st, we're essentially a paperless campus. And prior to that, we were issuing multiple memos, sometimes every day, publishing dining calendars and educational calendars. It was just ridiculous how much paper we were going through. Well, that's no longer the case. So that was another goal that we were able to accomplish. And then the last thing I'll just mention, which I think is the highest priority among the 3 that I've mentioned, is just residents connecting with each other. We're finding that residents are able to connect much better with this platform than our previous platform, which that's why they came. They wanted to grow, and they wanted to connect with other people. And all the things that I've been reading lately is supports the importance of not losing your social connectedness as you age, because those who do don't tend to last as long as those who stay socially connected. So those are three that I think of when I look at that list of goals that are really important for us.
Thank you, Dan. Fantastic. And they do a fantastic job with their services and programs to support all of that. So how can data support your work, both short-term and long-term? So these are just some examples of how data can actually work for you and work for your teams. I have real-time data from the residents. So, easily see what are the most attended events and what wellness dimensions are these in. So all of that's right at their fingertips. And then the staff can leverage that how they might need. Also, what are they, even things, by week, we look at a lot of things aggregately, also individually, or what are they reading? What are they looking at? And what's interesting is sometimes you'll see, oh, everybody's reading something about, I don't know, arthritis. And so maybe you have a speaker come in and talk about arthritis, and that wasn't on your roadmap before. So just having some data to really listen to what your residents are interested in. And then as you're looking for any type of technology and digital connection, these are just some key things that we find are important, no matter what kind of technology you're looking for. Make sure that it's bi-directional, that it's personalized. If it's gamified in any way, that certainly helps. Of course, you want it to be secure, smart, data-driven, and meaningful, and also shareable and mobile as well. You've probably heard some about ChatGPT. Many of you might be using it as well, but of course, we're beginning to use things like this more and more, making it very easy to minimize distractions, saving time for staff, let the residents find things on their own. So a lot more exciting things to come on that. But then having that perspective from the resident, I just wanted to remind you of that star rating again, because I wanted everybody to guess about these 8 dimensions. So at this particular community, they give a score on those 8 dimensions of wellness. So does anybody want to guess which was out of their top 3, what was their third? They said it most positively impacted their health and well-being. Here they are again, if anybody wants to take a guess. Any guesses on the top 3? All right, well, we'll just bounce through them. Their third one was spiritual. This did not used to be at the top, but residents are saying spiritual wellness is having the strong impact on their health and wellness. At Woodcrest Villa, they get a 4.6 out of 5 stars, which is fantastic. Secondly, physical. This one's not as surprising. This is something that's kind of we're all known for, but 4.7 out of 5 stars as really this is having a positive impact on my health and well-being. And then number 1, I love it. We have seen this in many, many places, but emotional. This did not used to get played or get much attention, I should say. It is a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't know what you guys are doing there with emotional well-being, but congratulations. Awesome. And people are saying that is really, really helping them. So it tells a story. And then being able to see a lot of data aggregately. People who love this are not only just staff who are working with the residents every day, but your board members, your marketing and sales team, your leadership, really, people who are out maybe even getting funding for you or donations. So a lot of people. And then I just want to wrap up a few of these just to talk a bit about social wellness. We all know social wellness is important. This is something that Dan talked about with his team. I like this phrase, when I is replaced with we, even illness becomes wellness. But I wanted just to share, maybe some of you have heard this. I use some of this, my grandmother, for many things, to tell just a true story. So if you don't mind, I'm going to tell just a short story about the real truth. So Bobo, who you saw, fantastic gentleman, as he retired, he became less engaged. He sat in a lazy boy. He did have hearing loss, but he refused to wear his hearing aids. So he became less social, disinterested in his hobbies, more isolation. He did begin to have memory issues, had Alzheimer's disease, and died not a very attractive death at 85. same opportunity, ability to make decisions. Mimi, when she retired, she became more engaged. She started walking and stretching and volunteering, eating lunch, doing intergenerational activities with her grands and great grands, spent a lot of time outdoors. She moved to a Lifeland community, which is also key. Happy, healthy, engaged. She's also a Wellzesta Life user, which is kind of cool. Full of life. She's 102 and a half. I pray I inherit her genetics. So there she is. Here we are at her 102nd birthday. And I mean, she's sharp as a tack. So, this is just to say that people, you can, of course, there are certain things that are built into, from hereditary, but it's all a lot about how we make decisions and view life. Here she is with grands and great grands. Here she is with all of her great grands, two of mine in the middle, twins right there. So it's just, how they wouldn't have ever been able to experience that if she wouldn't have made some of those great decisions. So kind of nice. All right, now let's take a quick look at the wellness economy as we wrap up. I love this. If anybody has a best friend, this is what best friends do. Hey, maybe you should try again, but without the socks, because, the socks were adding that extra weight there. But that's what best friends do. So just quickly, the wellness economy continues to grow. This is a little outdated. They will be putting out new information. This is the Global Wellness Institute. If you're not familiar with it, please check them out. But I mean, there are all kinds of things from beauty to spas to traditional medicine to prevention, mental wellness. The green one at the top now should be ballooning big time since the pandemic, but we are all in here as well. And then you even have people like, Blue Zones, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with as a book. Now it's turned into a Netflix series. So people like Netflix are even interested in this and trying to get that information out about health and well-being. How can you live to 100? And then around the globe, what does it look like? Where do we stand up? I mean, I thought this was kind of interesting. So you can see the US in the bottom, life expectancy. Now this is 2020, but life expectancy for men was at 76, women 84. And then you look at some of these others who have less than and more than. I mean, in Japan, 81 for men and 87.5 for women. Really incredible. So what are they doing? Three of the things that they talk about are forest bathing. If you haven't just walked through a forest and just taken that in, I know our architects have been talking about biophilia for a long time, but this is really, going out and immersing yourself into nature. And there's so much to be said for that. But some other things, this is just to kind of whet your appetite, but they do some neat things. I won't play this video for you, but if you want to see it, this is a video that talks about sort of, how is it that we are living in a world today and surrounding ourselves, but, putting so much pressure on ourselves to work and go to the next level. How can you use digital literacy and digital connectedness for good? So we can share that with you. But it's by the Global Wellness Institute. BBC StoryWorks puts on this. They have one whole section that's about the body, the mind, culture, design, but there's things that you can use no matter what type of organization that you work in that really support. We can leverage this with your employees and teammates. And then finally, this is just like, you don't have to say it out loud, but are you incorporating any of these kind of classes into your wellness? Are you doing any biofeedback? Are you doing meditation? Are you doing music therapy? There are lots of different things on here. This is just a quick list, but I would say think outside the box a little bit about what you are trying. I love all three of these, but no longer those 3 B's: bingo, Bible study, and birthdays. All good in themselves, but we can do, take it to the next level, if you will, and to be able to do that. And really, a lot of this can be done digitally, which brings you back to how can you connect on these things? You can have a physical experience, but you can also have a digital experience with many of these wellness approaches. And if everything else fails, hey, I'm into fitness and fitting this whole pizza in my mouth. So I'm a pizza lover. So in case none of that works. So we'll pause there. I'm going to stop the screen and we will just have the opportunity to, we can answer questions. We can just chat. We can do whatever you would like to do over the next little bit. Meg, do you want to
Yeah, so Kyle, I do see here, someone said that they did a sound bath for the open house of their new wellness garden, and both team members and residents loved it. I think that's really beautiful.
Nice.
So I do have a question. So what settings are you in right now? What kinds of settings? Are you mostly just a life plan communities, and do you operate at all in nursing, skilled nursing?
Yeah, good question. We have found that, I mean, there are, of course, different levels of care really demand different types of technologies. We have had the most success with independent living. So people who are in independent living, average age for us is 83, 84. So it's not like we're talking, 60-year-olds, which there are some. Our oldest user is 103, but is in independent, I think she's in independent living. We do also go both upstream and downstream. So we'll go upstream and work with your future residents. So we do a lot of things to help really help your bottom line. How can you get residents to move in more quickly, et cetera. And then we also will do things with, if you're doing another program like Life Plan at Home or Continuing Care at Home, so you can tap into people living outside of your walls. And then we do dip down into some assisted living, but that is about where we go. When you get into skilled and memory support, it needs, another type of technology.
I have other questions, but I don't want to interrupt anybody else if they have other questions. Please feel free.
I have a question, Kyle. Do you guys have any other? Do you have any other?
What was that, Kane?
Do you have any other engagement platforms at Wellzesta?
We do actually. So the one we've been talking about today is probably what we're most known for, which is called Wellzesta Life. That's our resident engagement, communication, well-being platform. And we can tie to lots of other platforms, so you can incorporate and layer things onto that as you might need to. We do have a platform that's exclusively for staff. Staff need communication and engagement and wellness too. So we have a platform for that called Elevate. And then we also do nice work with Life Plan at Home or Continuing Care at Home. So really meeting people who live in their own homes. And that one, I believe, will continue to evolve and grow. So that's something we can do for organizations that have that as an extension, or people who are just doing that on their own. Great questions. Anybody else?
I guess I have. Go ahead, Meg. You go.
Sorry, I have another one. So I'm curious, with regard to, I know you said that if it was like for skilled settings, did you say it might need a different kind of technology? And I'm curious to know why. Like, what do you think it would take because I think that this is a wonderful platform, and I know that folks have tried to bring wellness into skilled nursing settings, but I wonder, and it seems like that folks who live in skilled nursing settings deserve to have that, or long-term settings, that is. So I'm just curious to know what your take is on that.
Yeah, so my take is one of the things that makes what we do and many others too is we have that bi-directional connectivity. So with residents, they're able to tell staff what they need and vice versa. When you get into skilled care, it's not as easy to do, but what's great about it is that we also push content on digital signage and television, so you can have that same thing. So it's sort of supplementary to the IL, but it can be used for skilled nursing, and we have some of our clients that want to just try that and see how it goes. Oftentimes the staff will leverage it a little bit more to get the residents engaged, but they deserve that same amount. It'll be interesting to see over time. I mean, right now, some users who've been using the platform for a long time have moved to assisted living, and they're going to take it with them. So, if they move down, I think we'll see more and more of that over time. It just might need more of the staff participating in it, as well as the family and friends.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And voice activation. So, whether that's tying to an Alexa platform or if it's pressing a button on Google Voice, there's lots of different things you can do during that. And then, as you get into generative AI, there's lots you can do.
True.
So Kyle, do you find that when you're going into communities, are these communities sort of pioneering this, the resident engagement platform? Or are you going in like replacing other resident engagement platforms, new and improved version, I guess? What are you
Yeah.
finding more?
Yeah, what's interesting. So we've been doing this about 9 years. Honestly, the first year or two, we felt like we just educated the marketplace. There were things that were already out there, but we were coming at it differently. And at the beginning, we were mostly going in. A lot of people were paper-based, and we were coming in and replacing paper. That is not the case today. The majority of our clients, we are replacing systems that they already have, whether it's a quote competitor, if you will, or maybe it's a homegrown platform. We're finding that a lot of people are reaching out because they're looking for something different or unique.
And there's a question in the chat from Susan Ryan. Hi, Susan. Can you talk more about the platform for employee wellness?
Yes, happy to. The platform, we could show that, and Susan, happy to jump on a call with you and show you a quick version of that. Seeing it would help more than anything. But it has a lot of the same kind of features and functionality. One is built on the same back end. We call it Elevate, like elevate your staff to a new level. But the idea is really that communication is, we know people leave for all kinds of reasons. And so it helps with retention, it helps with recruitment, but most of all with culture building. And so, we started this in the home care sector because caregivers in that space, even before COVID, had an 80% turnover. And that was their massive problem, right? So how could we connect them? Well, they didn't ever talk. So we built a platform for them to be able to talk and communicate with one another. There's, HIPAA compliant chat in there. They can talk, they can see things, they can register for things. They know what's going on. They feel empowered. They also have all the wellness content in there. They get rewards for those kind of things. So most of them use it on their phones. It's a little more, just user friendly. We send out an invitation. But for an organization that's a single site is great, but it also can be used enterprise-wide. So you're building your brand around it. You're building messages around it. You can have videos from, your C-suite or highlighting a new employee or somebody who's been there a long time. And it just builds camaraderie and eventually, we believe, a stronger culture.
We have another question. Excuse me. With staffing shortages rampant, how do you think this technology can help attract and retain good staff?
Okay. Are you talking about the one we've been talking about, or the Elevate one, the one for
I'm
staff?
sorry, the Elevate. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, either one, I suppose you could.
Maybe either one.
You could probably
Okay.
make an effective for both.
Yeah. Okay. So you can probably maybe speak to some of this, Dan. So if you want, jump in. For the one that the residents use, for the staff, what we're trying to do, if you want to get down to the nitty gritty, we're doing things like we have libraries, we have where they can publish something, come in on a Monday and publish everything for the week or the month or even the year. I don't think that far out, but some people do. And then if something changes, they can easily change it, but really helping save them time. That is super, super key. And also give them the data that they need to make the decisions that they need to make, so they're not just guessing. And then they can also, apply it to people. They can do things on the back end, for residents if needed, that kind of thing. And what that does is it just should keep them, calmer and they have more time to do what they love. And if somebody has time to do what they love, they're more happy. They're happier in their environment. They're happy in what they're doing, and they're not off doing a bunch of one-off tasks. So that would help really to retain staff. We also make it very easy for them to refer staff. Like in the one for staff, those are usually the best people. Like if somebody refers, says, hey, I think you would really enjoy having, I don't know, Wayne on your team. So I would just send a message that says, hey, here's a referral for you. So really attracting those people, because people are attracted to like-minded people often, or organizations that are focused on your health and well-being, as well as data. We've seen some great research saying that employees, they want to work for organizations that have personalized technology.
Any other questions?
Any other questions, everybody? If not, we've got a few minutes here. I wouldn't mind going around the room and just doing quick introductions. Everybody saying hi if you have time. Quick questions? All right, then I'll kick it off here real quick. I know we've just got a few minutes. Kyle, great job. Thank you very much. Dan, thank you for joining us and
Thank you.
and helping Kyle with this presentation. It was a great job.
And I did have one more thing I'll just put on here. If you want to get in touch with us, this is the contact information there. If you
Check us out. The LR is for living room.
And then of course you
That's
can
great.
find the things on Good People as well, but that's my email and Dan's email as well. Well, we really appreciate being part of this. We thank Good People for doing all your good work, and really glad to be able to connect with you guys today. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And Meg and Kane, thank you for all the great work you're doing. Dan, thanks. You guys rock.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.